This video is going to allow you to use a single function to make transitions from one room to another, or even to the same room using any combination of in and out sequences that you can think of creating. Code is in the description, free for everybody, funded by my Patreon supporters. The first thing we're going to want is some sequences so that we have a context from which to understand how this is all going to work. The first thing I want you to do therefore is make a pixel sprite, okay? I've named mine S-Pixel. It is literally a 1x1 white pixel. This is actually super useful for a lot of different things, and I have one of these sprites in the vast majority of my projects. Once you have this, go ahead and make a new sequence. I'm going to right click in the workspace to do that, and then I'm going to call the sequence SQ fade out. Let's put it with our other ones that I made earlier. Then in the top right corner here, you'll have this little floating box. If you click on this thing here, the canvas frame settings, you can change the frame that this offers you. It's pretty useful to be able to set that to the size of whatever your game's resolution is. Mine is 640 by 360, so I'm going to change this to that. You can also, if you go to File Preferences, change what that is by default if you would like. Once I've done that, I'm also in that same menu, sorry, I'm going to change the origin X to be minus half of that value, so minus 320, and the origin Y to be minus half of the height, so that's minus 180 there. Just to put that origin in the top left corner, I just find that personally useful so that when we place this sequence in the room, this is going to be like a whole transition animation. When we place it into our game, I find it easier to place it in the top left of wherever our camera is, because that's also how cameras work, right? You might find the origin works better in the middle for you if you want to position it to a camera object or something like that. Do whatever you want. I'm putting it in the top left. I'm going to drag our S-Pixel onto the track panel. That's going to create a new S-Pixel. It's going to be really, really small, so just, use control on the mouse wheel, just zoom super far in, so you can quickly just grab the edges of this and make it bigger. So we just get to use this as just an arbitrary rectangle of whatever size we want. This is going to be a fade animation, so we just want to cover the entire of this frame that we define. Don't worry about going over a little bit, that's absolutely fine. Next, initially I want this to be black and transparent fully at the start, so I'm gonna click on this S-Pixel thing, click this little plus button here, and click color multiply just to add that attribute to the list of things we can track and change. And make sure this automatically record changes button is ticked, and if it is, just go ahead and click this little white rectangle here next to the hex listing of our color, and set this color to be fully black and turn the alpha all the way to 0, okay? And then it'll look like we've just gotten rid of the rectangle because it's now fully invisible. I'm going to stretch out this bar here. It'll be a different color. I think it picks a random color whenever you place it. But just stretch that bar all the way to cover the entire sequence. This sequence is 60 frames long at 60 frames a second. That's about right for a transition for me. We're going to have it basically do the transition for the first 50 frames and then be fully black, fully opaque for the last 10 frames. And then on the last frame, we're actually going to go to the next room. Okay, that's generally how I'm going to have these transitions work. You can do it however you want, obviously. Well, I'm going to come to the 50th frame here, as I just said, and I'm then making sure that this is on the 50th frame, making sure that this is still ticked. We're going to change the color again and just change the alpha from 0 all the way to 255 and click OK. Then if you scroll over the sequence, you can see we've created a fade out sequence pretty easily. Now there's a very easy way for us to create the opposite of this sequence. If I just right click and go to duplicate and call this SQ fade in. Make sure you double click on that to actually get to that. Don't make the mistake I do of just duplicating a thing then continuing to edit the original. I do that way too often. With SQ fade in up, we've got the same sequence here, but what we can do is if I click the little arrow here just to unfold this, you can find the keyframe that we've actually changed, which is just this one color multiply attribute. And we can just swap these keyframes around like this, and then if you play it, you'll find you've got the opposite of what you just created, okay? Very simple way if you're making out and in transitions to just do that, to be able to make the opposite of whatever it is you just made. Now I'm going to make a new script. I'm going to go to Scripts, Create, Script, and get rid of all the boilerplate code that you start with. I'm going to name the script Transitions, because it's just going to contain everything that we're going to do with our transitions. All the functions related to our transitions are going to be in this script. The first thing I'm going to do is create a function that will place a given sequence into a room. All right, it's going to look something like this. Okay, when we call this function transition play sequence, we're going to give it a type, which is going to refer to one of our sequences that we created. We're going to see if a layer exists in the room called transition. If it does, we're going to destroy it so that it's no longer there. You'll see why that's important later. And otherwise, we're just going to make sure that we then create a layer. We're going to create it at depth minus 9,999. This might vary depending on how your game works and how your layers throughout your game work. But by default, since the highest layer in your game is going to be depth 0, having a depth of negative 9,000 means we're going to ensure that this is in front of absolutely everything else, okay? How you do that in your particular game and project is up to you, but that'll work for probably most people. Then layer sequence create simply takes that layer and actually creates that sequence that we gave the function on that layer, all right? The other slight variation here will be we've given this coordinate 0, 0, which just matches up to the default room size. We're just going to put it in the top left corner. Obviously, if you've got cameras and stuff moving around, you're going to want to put this wherever the camera happens to be. Okay, so you'll probably want to vary how X and Y works in that particular circumstance. All right, next up we're going to create the function that is the key to all of this, really. It's the transition start function that we're going to call whenever we want to make a transition happen in our game between one room and another room. And that'll look something like this. Okay, so this function we've just made, as you can see, accepts 3 arguments. Room target being the room that we're going to go to, type out being the type of sequence we're going to use to transition out of the room, and type in being the type of sequence we're going to use to transition in to the next room. All right. We've got 2 global variables in here that we're also going to declare in a bit of a way unique to GameMaker 2.3 that I'll show you in a second. But we're going to check if global mid-transition is not true. All right, that's what the exclamation mark is for. That's just going to be a safety check to make sure that if we're in the middle of a transition already and we've called this function for whatever reason, it won't go off again. All right. So we turn global mid-transition to be true, assuming it wasn't already. And then a global room target is going to equal whatever our argument was. We need to store this in a global so that when our transition finishes, something in our game knows what room we are actually trying to get to next, okay? Because this is just where we're starting the transition. Transition place sequence is the function that we just made. So this is going to actually place our fade out transition into the room by creating that layer and placing it in the room, and then it'll start playing all by itself. Then we're going to do something slightly special. We're going to use layer underscore set underscore target underscore room. That's going to allow us to, instead of targeting layers in the active room currently in memory and running, we can actually target the room data of our game, okay? And change the properties of layers of rooms that we don't currently have loaded. This even works if we want to target our current room, and we can change it for the next time that room would load. So by doing layer set target room and doing room target, we're actually now targeting the room that we're transitioning to for any further functions that we call that affect layers in some way. And so then if we call this function again, transition place sequence, but this time with our in sequence, we're going to create that sequence on a layer in the room that we're going to, instead of the room where we're currently leaving. Then we call layer reset target room to put things back to normal so that if we do any other layer functions later on, they'll target the current room again. Then we just do a return true, else return false. That's just a nice thing if we want to do any error checking and make sure that we're not calling this multiple times when we don't need to. We can assign this to a variable and it'll come back true, assuming there wasn't a transition already happening so that we started one. If there was a transition already happening, we return false. Simple as that. Now we're going to go ahead and actually declare these global variables that we've used so that we don't get an error when we check this. Now, normally, before 2.3, what you would have to do is probably have an object or something and a create event where you declare all your global variables and stuff like that. Don't really have to do that in GameMaker 2.3 because every script that you have in your game is going to get called once at the start of your game. So what we can actually do is just put these global variables at the top of the script here, outside of our functions, as global.midTransition equals -1 and global.room target as equal to -1. In fact, mid-transition should be false, my bad. So when this script gets called once at the start of the game in order to actually declare all these functions at global scope, it will also declare these variables for us. So then when we actually get around to calling this, these globals will exist and be ready for us to check and use. Lastly in here, we want to make two more functions that are going to be the moments that we'll call at the end of our fade out transition and at the end of our fade in transition. The fade out moment is going to look something like this. Okay, ultra simple. It literally just calls room goto and refers to whatever is in global room target. No arguments or anything like that. It's just so that we have a function that we can call from the end of our sequence to tell us to actually go to the next room. The other function is going to look like this. Again, really simple, no arguments. We're just going to destroy the sequence when it's finished so it doesn't just remain behind in memory, and turn global.midTransition back to false so that we're ready to call another transition when we need to. You probably also want to put some useful comments at the start of these functions just to remind you what they all do. I'll do that now. Alright, and that's the whole script. The last bit of setup you'll want to do is to actually come to your out and in transitions and set them up to use these moments. So if we come to SQ fade out, and we come to the very last frame here, make sure that's where your little playhead is, just right on the end frame. If you click this little lightning bolt, which is the add moment button, you can specify a function to call on this particular frame. We're going to call transition change room. Then just hit OK. Alright, and then when you want to do the same thing in our fade in transitions, come to SQ fade in at the 60th frame, hit the lightning bolt, transition, and it'll come up here, transition finished. Click OK, and then when that ends, it'll call that function. Then whenever you actually want to use this, I have this object here called oMover. When I press the space key, get a target room that you want to go to via however you want to do that, whether it's colliding with a zone or pressing a button or whatever else. Here I've just got it to toggle between going between room 1 and room 2, and then just do transition start. Pick the target room that you want to go to, pick the sequence you want to use to fade out, and the sequence you want to use to fade in. I'll use SQ fade out here, and fade in. Those are the two that we've made just to demonstrate it. Run the game, and now if I press space, we do a fade out and a fade in. That's the sequence we've just made. You'll notice I had a different one in there, slide out diagonal, because this is the whole joy of the system. You can make any sequence that you want, and all you have to do is just call the relevant moments at the end to make it into an out transition and an in transition. Alright, so I've got this cool little slide out and slide in. So we can put those in here instead. SQ slide out diagonal, SQ slide in diagonal, run that. Now we have that transition instead, and we can use them in combinations. So we can have SQ fade out with slide in, and that will mean we fade out but slide into the next room, or do whatever you want. Okay, it's for a 40-line script. It's pretty powerful because you can just now create any number of sequences you want and use them in any kind of out and in combination. Hope that was useful. As I mentioned, the entire code for this is in the description, including just like, this setup, an example of it, and the few I've made down here. There's a little GitHub thing you can download if you want. All made free for everyone to download and use. All thanks to funding from my Patreon supporters, so you can thank them as I'm about to in the credits. Cheers for watching, guys. See you next time. An enormous thank you to my Patreon supporters who fund my work and allow it to exist for everybody else for free. Thank you in particular, and in no particular order, to Michael College, Tim Tharman, Cameron Busby, Chow Parker, John Kenai, Stephen Chenier, Raiden, Borgia MK Ultra, Hello Winter, Cookie Draggy, Rachel Stewart, Arctics, Feral Princess, John C, Team D, Mr. Oars, Jordan Hake, Dalvor, Vacants, Phil Keen, Andrew Gilbert, The Holtzman Effect, Kaiser Ho, Justin Adega, Alex Schenkel, Troy Mera, Boris the Wizard, Zach Collett, Figgy, Cabbage Pants, Joran Pater, Leo, Scott Matthews, Mark Burgess, Samir Nyailegaglo, Rene Dam, Rupinder, Hare, Dark Rider 0318, Jason, James L. Anderson, James Siggins, Relentless Rex, Bertie T, Daka Dondigo, Mike KB, Robert Churches, Kimpo, Bowser the Dog, Max M, Zephyr Flame, and Pong Pong Zhao. If you want to support this work but you can't afford to do so on Patreon, that's absolutely fine. Doing the regular YouTube things, clicking like and subscribe, etc. helps out just the same. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time. Bye bye.